Hey everybody, happy Friday, welcome to the channel. Hope you're getting ready to have a great weekend and that you're staying safe no matter where you are. Before we get started today, how sweet is this hat? Like scale of 1 to 10, that's pretty awesome, right? I think so. All right, let's start reading your comments. Can you post some of your riffs in tab form that you use in your videos? Hey Randy, thanks so much for that comment, man. I am thinking about making this a benefit for my patrons. Just so you guys know, I recently started a Patreon account and I'm still working out the details on all the tiers, but you can find a link to that in the description below. And if you guys like the channel and you want to help support me making more videos, definitely go to that link and check it out. A few of the things that I'm adding to the Patreon tiers, if I haven't done that already, I want to do a video that's sponsored by patrons on a piece of gear that they want to see demoed. So what that means is I would take the money donated by my patrons, let them vote on a specific piece of gear that, you know, they would like to see demoed, and then I would buy that gear and demo it, and then do like a raffle for my patrons so that they can win the gear afterwards. So if you haven't already, make sure to check out the link for the Patreon in the description below. Thank you so much for that comment. Any difference between GE200 and GE250? Hey, sorry, I cannot say your name, but yes, there's definitely some differences between the GE200 and GE250. In terms of sound quality, I'm not really sure yet, but I will be doing a shootout video of that, so make sure you stay tuned. That's actually gonna be airing next Monday. So if you're curious what my video is gonna be on Monday, it's gonna be a shootout between the GE200 and GE250. And the other differences between the two is that the GE250 is just way more capable with more in and out options. You know, it has MIDI control on it. You know, it just has more stuff, including the tone capture and the effects loop, which I think are the best additions to that pedal. So hopefully that helps answer your question. Make sure to stay tuned Monday for that shootout. Too many sound comparison videos, but almost no feel comparison videos. A lot of times reviewers think they prefer one sound over the other, when in reality, they prefer the feel, as often the sound of the unit with the better feel can have the inferior sound for listeners. Hey man, so I appreciate that comment, but there's a couple things. Is like, I don't know how I would make a feel comparison video. I mean, essentially that would just be a video of me saying, hey, this one feels like this, and this one feels like this, which is totally just my subjective opinion on it, versus something like a tone comparison video where it's like, hey, these are the settings I use, these are the IRs that I use, these are the sound differences between them, and then just showing you guys what that actually sounds like. And yes, the sound comparison videos can be subjective, you know, depending on what listening device you're listening back to. You know, YouTube also compresses the audio, so it's gonna change the audio quality a bit, and I don't always post all my settings and everything in those shootouts, so you know, there's a little bit of subjectiveness to those videos as well. But as far as like a feel comparison goes, I just literally have no idea how to shoot that video other than just me telling you, hey, this one feels a little bit more spongy, or this one feels tight, and you know, I could be totally wrong on that. And the more that I play with amp sims and modelers, the more it seems to me at least that the feel argument is just subjective. I mean, you can convince yourself that one feels better over another, but if I'm being 100% honest and objective, I don't think I notice a difference between any of them in terms of feel. The only exception to that is the AXFX3 and the HX Stomp both have settings for the power amp section, which will control the way the power section compresses the signal, and that can definitely translate into, you know, the feeling of an amplifier. And the lower end modelers like the GE200 and the Ampero, you know, they just don't have that. So I guess there's something to be said about that there, but yeah. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you notice any difference between the feel of a tube amp versus a modeler? I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say about that, so make sure to leave me a comment below. I checked out your live video tonight. Didn't work for me for some reason. I'm curious about the collab video you spoke about a while ago and if it's happening. I'd be interested to participate if I have time when it's on. Hey man, thank you so much for that comment and reminding me. If you guys want to participate in Quarantine Riff, there's a link to the drum beat in the description below. Record your guitar parts to those drums, at bass if you want, whatever. There's really loose guidelines on this, and then email it back to me in an MP3 format. I'll leave the information on all of this in the description below, so make sure to check that out if you want to do this. And I'm looking at probably mid to late May to make that video. So it'll give you guys some time to like work on the songs and come up with something and mix it down and send it back to me. And then what I'll do is I'll have a Quarantine Riff video where I listen back to all of your guys' songs and mixes. And yeah, we'll just have like a Quarantine Riff reveal video. So Quarantine Riff, make sure to check the description and get in on that because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And also your comment about the live stream. For whatever reason, on my last live stream, it didn't end when I ended the video. It kept trying to run, so if you were trying to tune in after I actually ended the live stream, it was just loading to infinity, essentially. And I'm not sure exactly why that is, if it was a user error or if it was some sort of glitch, but I plan on doing more live videos. Actually, when is this airing? This is airing Friday. So I'm gonna be doing a live stream video later today at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Make sure you tune in for that. And in the live stream, what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be running everyone through how I mix songs for my demos, because I get requested to make that video all the time and I have a really hard time making it, so I thought it might actually just be better to do it on a live stream. So if you're interested in how I mix songs for my demo videos, or any of the music that you hear on my channel, definitely tune into that live stream. It's happening later today at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Hope to see you guys there. Hey dude, seeing setup things in the background of the questions made me want to see a guitar setup video. Like pickup swaps, general setup and stuff would be great. Hey man, well, thanks for that comment, man. To be honest with you, I'm not really good at doing that stuff. Like, I absolutely hate when I have to get out my soldering iron and do any repairs on my guitars, or when I'm like swapping pickups, I will put that off until the last second. But if that's something you guys want to see, definitely let me know in the comments below. I'm definitely not opposed to making that video. I just want to know that there's a bunch of interest in it before I actually get out a soldering iron and risk burning my hand, because I burn myself almost every single time I do any soldering. Thanks for the comment. Exciting! Do you remember me? I really want to be YouTube friends. Nope. I've noticed you've modded some of your guitars. Do you think it is a good idea to buy a mid-priced guitar and upgrade some features? Thanks. Hey Camillo, hopefully I didn't butcher your name. That's a really great question. I think it just depends on why you're buying the guitar in the first place. Like, if you're buying a guitar and you know you're gonna put EMGs in that guitar, and that manufacturer actually offers that same guitar with EMGs, you're probably better off to buy the guitar that has the EMGs, because most likely it will end up being cheaper in the long run, and you also don't have to do the work yourself. But this is where I think it makes a difference. Let's say you're looking at something like this, which is a very specific guitar. When I bought this guitar, I pretty much bought this guitar because of the gold on black, and I thought that looked really cool, and I wanted this shape of guitar, and I definitely wanted to have a set neck or a neck through guitar, and this had all of those features, but it's got these stock pickups, which they're not bad, but they're not the greatest. So in this case, I bought this guitar knowing that in the future, I'm definitely going to have to upgrade it if I want the best performance out of it. So with all that being said, I guess I don't specifically go look for lower priced guitars that I will end up upgrading. I just look for guitars that I specifically want to play, and if there's a feature that they don't have that I know I can upgrade, then I'll purchase it knowing that I can upgrade that feature. But if I can get the same guitar with that feature already included, I'd much rather just buy the guitar with all the features that I want built in. But it just doesn't often work out that way, where it's like you want a very specific guitar with certain features and specific electronic components, and the manufacturer just doesn't offer those, so yeah, you have to end up modding it sometimes. Hopefully I answered your question. Thanks for the comment. What would your dream rig be if money and rarity weren't factors? Hey Ronnie, thanks for that question, man. To be honest with you, I think I have my dream rig, which is, the Axe FX3, because with that piece of gear, I can dial in almost any sort of sound that I'm looking for, anything I can imagine, and there's also so much flexibility in terms of in and outs and programming and all that stuff. But that's not the answer you want. I think that if money and rarity weren't factors, I would probably want one of the old Mesa Boogie Mark II C+ amps. Among us metalheads, that's just like god tier level gear. I mean, to be honest with you, I'd probably just end up running that through my Mesa Standard cabinets, but if not, I would go for some older Marshall cabinets, and then I would just be trying to get the Master of Puppets tone. I'm new to using IRs and just got an Ownhammer pack. All I do is scroll through a gazillion of cabs instead of playing. Most of them sound really good, but I just cannot pick one. Did you have a similar issue? Maybe you can give me some advice. Great channel, thank you for the videos. Hey Semyon, thanks for that comment. Again, hopefully I didn't butcher your name. To be honest with you, when I first started getting into these modelers and when I started my channel, my stance on modelers and like the Axe FX specifically was that I didn't want to get one because I knew myself and knew that I would just spend hours and hours tone questing rather than actually playing my guitar. And so it's a very real thing. And if I was going to give you advice, I would say just find a few that you like that sound really good and stick with those for a while and be disciplined enough to focus on your playing when you actually have the time to sit down and play, because yeah man, you can go through those packs and listen to IRs forever and not actually get anything done. And for some people, that's actually what they really enjoy doing, and that's why they like, you know, the Axe FX3 and stuff like that. And I don't want to disparage those people, but for me personally, when I'm sitting down doing guitar stuff, I'm generally trying to be productive. And so I'll make sure that if I'm dialing stuff in, that I don't take too long doing it and I don't get too nitpicky on the details, because it will definitely take time away from practicing or recording or just playing your guitar, you know, whatever you sat down to do. Great question. Thank you so much. Thanks for the book suggestion. If you have more book suggestions, tell us on the next FAQ about it. Cheers! Thanks so much for that comment and giving me a chance to talk about, you know, the book that I'm reading right now. So the book that I'm reading right now, or, you know, listening to, more often than not, I listen to audiobooks rather than reading the physical book. Right now, I'm listening to a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I know what you guys are thinking, like, the title sounds a little scammy, right? It sounds like, hey, buy my book and then sign up for my pyramid marketing scheme. But that's not the case at all. This book was actually written back in like the 30s or 40s after the Great Depression. And most of what this book is about having control over your thoughts and understanding how to use your imagination and your creativity to manifest whatever it is you want in your life. And for me, it's a really fascinating thing because it kind of sounds like, you know, woo-woo. I mean, we're a very thin line away from crystals and essential oils at this point, but if you think about it, everything that exists in this world had to have been imagined by a person before it was ever created and put into existence. Like this camera that I'm shooting this video on, like the internet that's streaming the video to the device that you're watching it on. That shit all came out of someone's imagination, and it's really fascinating to read a book that talks about it in such great detail. And another thing about this book that has been profoundly beneficial to me on a personal level is it's really helped me deal with depression. Like a lot of other creative people, I have a lot of highs and lows, and sometimes it feels like I'm on top of the world, and then sometimes it just feels like bleh. Like, why am I doing anything? No one appreciates my videos, no one likes my music. Like, I have those sort of days. And the really powerful thing that I took out of this book is accountability. Like, those are my thoughts and my emotions. I'm causing myself to feel that way by allowing myself to think those things. And as soon as you realize that you're in control of your own thoughts and you take accountability for it, it kind of changes the way you think about things. Now, there's a lot of detail in this book and I'm just skimming over the surface of what it covers, but to all my creative friends out there, especially people who battle with mental health, I really highly suggest that you read this book because it can be super empowering. So thank you so much for the comment and allowing me to get up on my soapbox and preach about a book that I really enjoyed and found a lot of benefit from. Appreciate it. You have some sick tremolo picking, Taylor. Maybe you could dive into that some more? Now back to playing metal shit, LMAO. Hey Xander, thanks so much, man. My tremolo picking, I don't really think about it too much when I'm doing it, but here, let me show you some of the warm-up stuff that I do, and maybe that'll give you some insight into my tremolo picking. Hopefully you guys can see this here. What I would say doing, if you know how to count music, is to just start with a metronome. I don't have a metronome here. How cool would that be if I had a metronome app on my phone already? Nope. All right, we're gonna install a metronome app right now. A few things I'll say while I'm waiting for that to download. I use Jazz 3 picks, and I found that these are actually really helpful with playing faster and specifically tremolo picking because there's less mass to them and the points are very sharp. So it makes it a little bit easier to dig in and really tremolo pick on those strings. Sometimes I will actually hold my hand closed like this when I'm tremolo picking, and sometimes I will leave my fingers open, and I think it just depends on the riff and how much I'm skipping strings. Most of the time I do have my hand open though, it's almost like a counterweight, and as much as possible, I try to keep the movement in my wrist and not in my whole arm, so you'll see people try to tremolo pick and they're trying to use their whole arm like that, and it's not very effective. You want to minimize your movements and make them efficient, so... I used to be in a band with a guitar player too who would talk about this all the time, about how he would actually try and tremolo pick with just his fingers like this. If you can see that. But he would just move his fingers like this to tremolo pick, and I've never been able to do that. I mean, it's a little tricky. So for me, I do use my wrist a little bit and I use my fingers as sort of like a counterweight, but that same rule applies. The less motion you have, the more efficient your picking will be and the longer you'll be able to do it for. So when you have a metronome app, let's start off with like 145 BPM, 4/4. Now what I'm gonna do is count the beats of 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. So you start counting the beats, and start playing with eighth notes. And this exercise is just for your right hand. You don't need to worry about your left hand. You can just play a single note if you want to. So this is the way it works. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Obviously, I can't hear my metronome over myself playing, but you get the idea. And then we'll move on to 16th notes, so counting like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and... And then once you get comfortable playing it at your current BPM, you just increase the BPM and keep playing until you get comfortable there and keep increasing, and that'll improve your speed with your tremolo picking. This is 260. Essentially, it's something like that. All right, guys, thank you so much for all of your comments. I really appreciate everyone who leaves me comments. It really helps me out with keeping this video series going. So if you have any questions or anything you want to say to me, definitely do so down in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, please hit the like button, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.